Kerbal Space Program 2. I have been waiting for this game for like 2 years. For those of you who don't know, Kerbal Space Program 2 is a space flight simulator sandbox game with ultra-realistic physics. So it's all the same thing. What? The first Kerbal Space Program game came out when I was 10 years old. And I would say a solid 90% of the experience that I have in Kerbal Space Program was from the version that released on consoles a few years later. And while I do have a good amount of hours on Kerbal Space Program, I never really achieved some of the bigger goals that I wanted to when I was a kid. I think the only things I ever truly achieved was orbit, and somehow, some way I managed to end up on the moon, but not in the traditional way that you might expect. Like the kind of way of just looking at the moon and then driving towards it. So with that being said, this new series will take you through me accomplishing all the goals I wanted to do in Kerbal Space Program that I couldn't do before, but I can do now that I understand what's happening. Okay. Maybe I don't understand what's happening, but I'm going to pretend like I do for the realism. And that brings us to our first mission of Kerbal Space Program. Something simple, something easy. Creating a satellite and having it orbit Kerbin. I call this Operation Rotate. Unfortunately, in the current state of Kerbal Space Program 2, there's not a ton you can do with the satellites that you put in the air. So the main goal I was going for is something pretty small but self-sufficient. All of these parts were kind of overwhelming me at first because I'm not an expert on which is better than what. So I spent a lot of time kind of just browsing my options before I decided on something that I felt would be the best fit for the ship I was building. In my limited experience of Kerbal Space Program 2 so far, the biggest issue I've had is actually getting stuff off the ground. And if I do get it off the ground, I gotta make sure it stays straight up and doesn't start doing cartwheels midair. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What on earth could have happened there? Why? So with that being said, I really need to make sure that the aerodynamics and the weight on this thing are particularly on point. I feel like it should be noted that I'm not exactly going for realism here. Now that the satellite's done, it's time to work on the actual rocket. I don't know if this is just me, but the fairings absolutely run me over. I know it doesn't look like it in the video, but on nearly every other rocket I've created, the fairings just don't work. I don't think that's right. Oh no. And this brings us to the end of the construction phase. And now it's time to find out if I wasted an hour or if it'll actually work. It's time to launch. So I haven't launched many rockets in Kerbal Space Program 2 yet. So it's safe to say I may or may not have been a little bit rusty. Oh no, I messed up. Alright. But if there was one thing that I was positive I could do, it was put this rocket in orbit. Sorry, that was the wrong video. And it's done. I know I left some junk in space, and I probably in the future will try to return it, but with no re-entry physics into Kerbin, I don't know if A, it's even worth it, and B, I'm pretty sure it's just way above my skill level. But all in all, I'm pretty proud of this project, and I'm proud that I got it done. And I'm planning on doing more of this. Like I said, this is planning to be a series, and I plan the next one having to do something with the moon, but I haven't quite figured out what yet. But I will 100% make sure to keep you guys posted. And as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.